My name is Diton Wode, and welcome back to the channel. So, what if I told you that disappointment that you experienced just might make for a very good story? So, let me share a personal experience with you. While doing my A levels, I was locked in, right? I didn't miss classes, I gave my best, I did everything that I knew to do, right? And it was a thing where my school usually did this thing called like an attendance certificate, and they gave that certificate to anyone who had 100% attendance to classes at the end of every session or term. And it was a thing where I would usually get that certificate for every single term. But that was not enough for me to get the results that I needed to get after the first exams that we wrote. Oh my God. I failed that exam woefully. Like I failed that exam woefully. And I think from like leading up until that point, I had never failed an exam. Right. This was the very first exam that I was failing in my entire life. If I remember clearly. Yeah. Right. So I was broken. I was devastated. I felt like all the efforts I had put in just didn't give me the results that I desired. And I was broken. And I remember resuming back to school and getting the printed out version now because I was at home when we saw it online, and then returning back to school, they would give you like the printed out version. And yeah, I broke down again, right? That was how devastated I was. I was disappointed. And even my chemistry teacher was shocked. She was like, this is not because I'll come to classes, they'll give tests, I would pass the tests. I didn't speak much in class, but I understood what they were teaching, right? Even though she was always trying to get me to talk, but when she would ask me questions, I would answer. So she was surprised that like, not this person, and she was trying to console me and all of that, but that was not really, it wasn't working. Why? Because there was a university that I had in mind to attend, and that result, right, it was never going to get me into that university. It wasn't possible, right? It wasn't something that was going to happen. So I was doubly disappointed, if that's even a word. So I was disappointed at that the effort I put in didn't give me the results that I wanted. And then secondly, that the results I got was not going to get me into the university that I really wanted to go to. And the school gave me two options. So the first option was to go on to the second year of A levels and just resit the exams again. And then the second option was to move on to a different program, the foundation program. And I thought about it and I told myself, ain't nobody gonna be receipting exams. The stress, the burden, I was not ready for all of that. So I moved on to the foundation program. And I think that was one of the best decisions that I ever made, right? So now, what did I do different? Because at the end of that foundation program, I ended up getting into the university that I wanted from the very start, right? That was how it all worked out. But what did I do different? That's what I want you to learn now so it can help you get through those disappointing moments that you've just felt like it was the end of the road and there's no way out of it. So the first thing I did was I held on to my vision. I held on to the why. And for me, the why I wanted to attend that university was not that they were, great for engineering, which they still are right now, but it was a thing where they were an excellent university for sports. They still are currently, right? So the sports facilities in that university are top notch, like A1. It's so good that even the athletes from countries come to that university to train. That's how good the sports facilities are. A1, like proper. So that was my vision. That was my why. And that why was good enough for me, right? Because I was going to study engineering. I needed something else to, help me. And sports is something that I love. I loved, I still love. So that for me was everything, right? So that was the vision I held on to. And sometimes I would, when I had switched to the foundation program, I would go on to the website of this university and I'll check their facilities, their videos, just watch the videos over and over again, just to see how the campus looks, the labs look, the sports facilities look. That just kept me going. So perhaps you try to do something and it didn't work out. You try to release a book, you try to help someone, they disappointed you. You try to start a business, it didn't work out, and you're devastated because the results isn't what you desired. One thing you need to do is hold on to your vision. Don't let one mistake or one failure or one setback limits you from still achieving what you know you need to achieve and what you want to achieve, right? So you need to hold on to your vision for as long as you want to until it comes to pass. And that's what I did, right? Because at the end of the day, it was a thing where I put that university as my second choice because they were lower down the league table, the university league table, compared to the first choice university. So another university, I had to pick that university as my first choice, pick the one I wanted as my second choice, and then another university as the third, because you had to pick three options, right? And that was just the advice that, the tutors would give to you. And I ended up getting offers from all three universities, but I still picked the second one, which was what I wanted. And it was it, it was a good one, right? So that's what I want you to just do, right? Hold on to your why. Why did you start telling your story? Why did you start writing books? Why did you start helping people? Why do you do what you do? Why did you start that business? Hold on to your why and let it be what drives you and helps you keep believing as you go on. Now, the second thing was I found out the strategy that works for me, right? And you can do the same. Going back to my story now and my example, I had to figure out what works for me, right? So for the A levels program, it was a thing where we'll write the exams after holidays, right? And for the most part of my life, it's a thing where you write exams before you go on break. From primary school, secondary school, you don't go on break and come back and write exams. It's a bit weird, you know. So that was one thing. So my mindset was almost, you know, used to that. And the second thing was that from primary school, secondary school, it's a thing where I try to read in bits, right? I don't accumulate everything and then try and power through and read everything. But now what I did in my first year of A levels, what I didn't really read in bits and pieces, right? I left everything till the very end, which was my mistake now. And so moving on to the foundations program, I made sure I went back to what I was used to. And that was doing my reading in little bits and pieces, right? So in secondary school, we would have night preps. And that was good. Like that was a proper training for me because it helped me to just read what I needed to read over the length of time. And so when I moved on to that foundation program, I just, you know, I've made a decision that after my classes every day, I would go up to the library, read what I can read, do my assignments, and then, head back, eat dinner, maybe go out with friends and all of that, right? And that worked for me. I found out what was the strategy for me now. And that's the same thing you need to do. So you're trying to write another book and you're trying to figure out how to do it in such a way that it gives you the results that you desire. But you need to find your own style. Trust me, You tried to release that content and it didn't work out. Now you want to try again, but find your own style, find your own voice, find your own rhythm. The thing is, nobody wants to listen to your brother through you. I'll say that again. Nobody wants to listen to your brother or your sister through you. They want to listen to you through you, right? So you need to find your own style. It may just be that the reason why that situation didn't work out was because you were adopting a style, or you were adopting a voice, you were adopting a strategy that just wasn't right for you. And the story you were telling, or the book you were writing, or the business you were starting, it just wasn't the right fit for you. And what happened was maybe people just saw the disconnect and it didn't give you the results you desired. They subconsciously just saw that disconnect and they're like, nah, we can't relate to this, because it wasn't the real you that was actually being portrayed in that situation. So you need to find your style, you need to find your rhythm, you need to find what actually works for you. That's what I did. And that's what I'm advising you to do today. After you've held on to your why, you keep holding on to it. You now need to find the strategy that would help you get to that destination, that would help you achieve that goal and that vision that your eye is seeing. Now, the third thing I did was I just kept going. See, it's not going to happen immediately, right? You just need to keep doing what you've been doing over a long and extended period of time. Don't give up, right? Everything is not going to come to you on a platter. Sometimes you just need to work for it again, 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 and again, right? And that's what I want you to understand today. Yes, you found your vision, you found your strategy. You need to keep going for as long as you possibly can. Because in that situation, it helps you to really, really find your true self, really, really find who you are in the midst of all of that situation or all of that disappointment, right? And if you can make it through that disappointment, which I hope you will, you'll get to a point where that disappointment makes for a great story. Just look at me now, sharing with you how I failed my first A levels exam. And it's funny now, it's funny, but then it wasn't. Like, it was not funny. But I can sit here now and share that experience with you. And that can be the same thing for you. So, you experienced disappointment. It didn't work out. Now what? Now, what you need to do is hold on to your vision. Find the strategy that works for you. And finally, keep going. Don't give up until you hear that final whistle, until you cross the finish line. That is all it takes for you to just get that result that you desire. Okay? So, get to work. You see, it's comeback season. Forget about the disappointment, let it go, let it go. It's comeback season, right? So, thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.